Conducting interviews. So the goal of this workshop is to learn how to conduct interviews successfully and learn more about what your customers want so that you can sell to them more easily. So interviews can sound quite formal, but they can actually be a really fun task, and can also build some great new contacts and treat it as a bit of a networking opportunity too. Conducting interviews allows you to probe a little deeper to understand your users' attitudes, beliefs, desires, and experiences. Interviews can be done face-to-face, on the phone, video call, or even instant messaging. And it's always best to do interviews before you conduct any surveys, because this can allow you to tweak any questions in the survey based upon the responses from the interview participants. So we need to start any user research task. You should always establish, what is the goal? What do you want to achieve from doing this? What do you need to know about your users that you already don't know? So when we're actually thinking about selling to our users, and if we're struggling to sell to them at the moment, by actually conducting interviews allows us to gain those insights and that knowledge to be able to sell to them more easily. I would always advise as well, when you're doing interviews, to actually record the process, whether that be on your mobile phone or computer. Interviews can allow us to get qualitative data which can be observed and recorded. This data type is non-numerical in nature and focuses on approximates and gives the ability to analyze qualitative data sets. So quantitative data, on the other hand, is used for surveys. And this type of data is usually based on statistics and can be arranged into categories because it has a number associated to it. So as an example, qualitative data is, for example, saying something like the dog's fur is brown and black. Quantitative, on the other hand, would be saying 10 dogs have brown fur and 10 have black fur. So how to conduct an interview? So first of all, you want to establish the main goal for the interview and write this down. Next, you may want to put together an interview script, which will consist of questions to ask your interviewee. You should always ask the interviewee for their permission to record the data, video, or voice, or usually get them to sign a document first. The do's and don'ts. Some things that we may want to establish from the interview process are the user's motivations, pain points, frustrations, and desires, and also any belief that they hold around a particular topic, niche, or service. Don't ask them leading questions that would suggest the answer. Always ensure you don't ask what they want, because we are trying to establish their behavior without getting them to focus inwardly. Also, make sure you don't ask them if they would buy your product, because asking difficult questions like this in your presence will lead them to give a false answer. They might go, yeah, of course I'd buy your product. And you're like, would they? So asking something like this is just going to lead to bias. And also don't ask them how much they would pay for your product or service, because this could also lead to inaccurate information and bias. So what you can do is ask them about their past experiences. You can also ask them to show you how they would complete a certain task. And you can also ask open-ended questions. Get them talking. Ask them to compare two things. Try to understand their motivations. Why is he or she trying to achieve this? And then ask why again. So asking questions and asking why specifically will lead you to the root cause of the problem. So each time a user responds to your question, you could ask them why again. Then you could ask them why again. Keep on doing this until you uncover the root cause of the actual problem and move away from the surface level problem. When you do this, you're able to build rapport at a much deeper level with your customers because you understand them on a granular level. If you feel like the conversation is flowing well, you don't actually have to stick to the script specifically. You can slightly move off on a tangent and discover a surprising insights that you may have never discovered before. Pay attention to body language. If the user is sat with their arms folded, the likelihood is that they're feeling a bit uncomfortable and a little bit defensive. If they have their legs crossed and their leg is creating a barrier and is turning away from you, this tells me that you are not in rapport with your interviewee. Remember, an interview is a conversation when you have the opportunity to create a new contact that potentially may purchase your product in the future. It is not an examination. You can also ask your interviewee what she would say if they had a magic wand. You can compile the questions that you would like to ask in a simple Word document, print it out, and handwrite your answers. Once you have conducted all of your interviews, you can then analyze the information that you've been given and put it into a small presentation. This is really handy, especially if you have a vision to grow your business, because you can then share these insights with future employees. So your homework is to conduct 4 to 12 interviews with people who fit your customer persona. The more interviews you do, the more information you have to work with. Write down all of your findings. What have you learned from doing this? What do your users want? What are they saying? How do they feel? What are their behaviors? So an interview typically lasts 30 to 45 minutes. Any less and you're not going to get the core of their pain points and understand their desires.